Hello, can anyone hear me? Mr. McBain. I think it's working. Jadey's in the chat. Can you see the link? Okay. That's important. Yeah, yeah. I don't think I can't work out how to put everyone else on videos. I think everyone's just going to be in the chat. Cool. See you soon. Bye. Jadey, can you hear me? This is all very new to me. Hi. Um, okay, great. That's good. I just need to work out how to pop out a chat window somewhere. What a, oh, scared if I press studio meadows. Okay, and you can see my screen. Great. I'd love for that chat window to pop up somewhere so I can see it when I'm here. It popped up earlier. Alright, how to get YouTube streaming chat window. Yes. Live. Pop out chat. 3 dots. Aha! Pop out chat. Okay, you can hear me and see the screen. Chat's delayed. Okay, no worries. Thank you. Alrighty, so that link worked. Let me disable my screen. Can you tell me, Jadey, if the screen there... Yeah. Cool, that's okay. It'll take 30, 60 seconds. Can you tell me if you can't see my screen now? I just want to disable it while I open up my mail. Black screen. Perfect. Great. Alrighty. This is very funny. And we are live. Okay, so this is fun, but I am still, there's a couple little growing pains here. Like the chat thing. I was really hoping I could get the chat to just appear somewhere. But let me just pop my screen back. Alright. Great. Well, I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes. We've got a couple of minutes until we're live. I'll just pop this screen off while I just Google how to get the chat to appear because it's kind of important. Alright. Okay, copy URL. Okay, so just to chat to people here, I can apparently copy the URL from the chat link and then select a scene for use with the chat box. Gotcha. So the new scene. Alright. Adding a new scene. Okay, and then browser place URL. Oh yeah, so browser. Oh boy. This is very funny. Browser. Okay, another browser. Aha, okay. And I put that there. And that should hopefully be the chat. Aha, and the chat will appear here, which is super cool, I think. But I need to work out like where to put it so it's not in the way. I think over here is probably fine. Alright, let's do that. See if that works. Now I can't see the chat at all. Oh well, maybe it just appears on the stream. Alrighty, see if anyone. Alright, so it looks like the chat is appearing here, which is good, but I just can't seem to see the, like on OBS it looks fine, but yeah, and then the chat link itself is working, so if anyone, I know it's like a bit delayed, but if someone can just tell me if they can see me and see the screen, see this chat, just to get more clarification there. This is all new, we're all learning. It's all a bit funny to be a bit delayed like that. Cool. See me in the screen. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Jadey. Also, nice to meet you, Jadey. Adam's here. Great. So, in an ideal world, I would have had everyone join on some sort of Zoom call type thing, but I only really decided to do this yesterday, and I'm also in the process of moving house, and so I just didn't really have a lot of time. unfortunately. But here we are. Everyone's here in the chat, which is great. On behalf of the people here, because they currently speak, well, they can speak in the chat, but all the same. And Miles is here. Great. So what are we doing here today? Today, this is about R package review, and what we want to do is just have, in a kind, friendly way, review an R package for someone, and I want to sort of help demystify that process. So my name is Nick Tierney. I'm a research software engineer. I work at the Telethon Kids Institute, which is in Perth, but I work remotely. And the other fine folks we have here are Adam Sparks, who is now a professor, I want to say, at Curtin University in Western Australia. I've known Adam for a few years now. He has written many R packages such as Boomerang and NASA Power and heaps of really useful weather scraping packages. I would describe Adam's field as epidemiology, but for plants and botany. So he does a lot of work on looking at how things like certain funguses might spread, say, to chickpea plants. And so it's like imagine COVID, but instead for the plant world, and it's really, really important work. Miles works for a company called the Data Collective, and has written many other R packages. He's a very experienced developer and a really good friend, so I'm really glad to have him here. And yeah, I feel a little bit nervous streaming, just talking to everyone. It's sort of a bit weird not to have the same patter back with the video call, so I really might try and implement that next time. And yeah, the chat is unfortunately a bit delayed. Jadey's informed me, so yeah. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to periodically check back on the chat, which is like a bit clunky, but it's just how it is today. Again, I want to thank Adam and Miles here for helping co-host this, and I also really want to especially thank Jadey Ryan. So Jadey Ryan is a data scientist at the Washington Department of Agriculture, and she very kindly has offered her package soils to review, which is really, really kind for her. For the context, I sort of posted on Mastodon about this. You can see it here. Looks like people have found the link. I posted a little while back, or like a couple of days, just saying, hey, like I think I've got this idea. Let's review an R package live and see how that goes. Would people want to be interested? And so Jadey very kindly said that she would love to have her R package reviewed if I have time, and then Adam, who works a lot in the soil science space, said that he'd be happy to join along as well, which is like super great because I don't know anything about soil science. And yeah, like I'm sad that I didn't have time to work this out into a video call, because like it'd be really great to have Adam, like sort of and Adam's voice here as well, particularly for this. But again, I just want to say, like, I'm really grateful that people responded to this, and I'm really excited for what we're going to do. So how would I start to review a package? So I guess I would start by looking at the URL here. Great, okay, the chat all seems good. So what I'll do is I would look at, say, this R package, and it's got a great little about section, a collection of soil health, data visualization and reporting tools, including an RStudio project template, nice, with everything you need to generate custom HTML and Microsoft Word reports for each participant in your soil health survey. Great, so it tells me the context, some of the little great features and what you can output here. There's also a link to a website, which is really nice. There's a great little cute hex sticker. And then we have video demos. Okay, so this is great. The video demo, I think, is something that I first noticed with Miles McBain in his packages like Data Parser and FNmate. Maybe if someone can post a link to that in the chat. And okay, right, so you can actually make a project here. I actually didn't really know about that you could do that in RStudio, which is really cool. So something I immediately really like about this is that, I can tell that Jadey really cares about the user experience. She wants to make this as easy to find as possible and as easy to understand, like, what do I want to do here? What's the benefit to me? What does this package do? And I think a video in this case can be really, really useful. It's a very, very nice, rich text output there, and in a Word document nonetheless. Okay, great. I don't know a lot about what these metrics are, but that's fine. That's not what my review today is about. Okay, I can see there's an HTML report. You can do all of them. It uses Quarto. Great. Okay, this also, I just want to say with the video, like adding these little boxes to sort of show where things are, especially in a video format, again, like that just takes time and effort. So I think this is a high effort project, and that's really encouraging to see. Great. So again, making an effort to say this is the parts you do the screenshots. These take time. Great annotations there. Yeah, so again, this package tells me that they really care about the user, which is, I think, a really good, healthy thing to see. Good information on how to cite the package. Credits. Cool. Great. Okay, so good, and there's some articles there. I'll get back into that. So overall, I already have like a great degree of, I guess, trust in this. I can tell that this is written by someone who wants to make this easily usable and easily understandable for people. Just put in the chat. Lots of empathy for users, yes. Yeah, great. That's a great point by Miles. He said that there might be people here who haven't been using R for very long, and so I think that's a really great point because, yeah, it's sort of this video to sort of help walk you through, help take your hand and walk you along this path. Okay, so what I would do to review a package, I would fork this package here, and I would create a fork so then I can have it on my machine and then I can do stuff with it. And the way I like to do this is in RStudio, I will file for a new project, and I go to version control, git, and then I go and paste that URL there. I'm just going to put that in my generic GitHub. Great. So I'm going to click create project. So it's going to clone all of the stuff there. There's probably a bit of stuff here just based on the fact there's video content. I would imagine that's maybe stored as a GIF or maybe somewhere else. So that just might take a minute to clone there. Let's take a minute just to check on Mastodon to see if people found this. Or are there any other questions there? Okay, it looks like we're all good there. Some of my collaborators filled everyone with documentation, wondering how I can eliminate redundancies, mostly with articles and vignettes. Yep. I want to take a moment to, I think I got a comment back from Jadey about this, but I just wanted to quickly ask, so this is like the intent of the review here. So Jadey says, I'd really appreciate some pointers on code, package structure, how to incorporate better error messages and testing, etc. So I think, so that's what Jadey wants to get out of this. So I want to focus on that because I want this to be useful for Jadey and not just sort of what I think is useful, because I'm not really the target audience, but I do know a bit about how to structure packages and this kind of thing. So I just want to sort of emphasize that point. Code, package structure, how to incorporate better error messages and testing. Great. Okay, so it's still taking a minute. So I'm wondering where all of that data is coming from then. This seems like actually quite a big R package. So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if that's coming from anywhere in particular. Perhaps it could be coming from some of the data there. I used to have a plugin that would tell me how big these are. I wonder if that's it. My guess would be that somewhere in inst here we probably have some data here that might be big or something. 82%, so we've still got a little while to go there. Everyone by creating or maintaining it. For users to learn how to use the package, yeah. Okay, nearly there. This is the Octatree Chrome add-ons. This is kind of handy because I can quickly browse a GitHub directory. I find that kind of useful. While this is... Oh, okay, cool, we're in. Okay, so that took a little while to load, which is not a huge deal, but something I'll come back to later. Again, I want to remind myself Jadey wants to pointers for code and package structure, incorporating better error messages and so on. So I'm going to do the first thing. This is from my experience as an RFNSI package reviewer. I'm going to run the good practice package. So good practice : GP, short for good practice. This runs what we call, I think, static analysis on the code. And it produces all these markers. So this is like a general sort of sniff test of things that are easy to fix in the package. Okay, some error there, that's fine. Looks like the main practice is about things being more than 80 characters wide. Sure. Yeah, okay, so I can see that. So there are ways to avoid that. We can come back to later. To make sure I can install this package and run everything, I'm going to run install dev deps. This is from the DevTools package. And yeah, I actually have a setup. Oh, okay, we got here. Let's just go with number 2, CRAN packages only. So install dev deps, we'll go through and it'll just make sure I've got all of the things I need in order to run and use this package. So the steps so far, I've forked the package, copied it locally, and I've run good practice. Yeah, and now I'm installing the dependencies. So while that's happening, I'm just going to start looking at the code myself. So get a quick sense. We've got this create soils, create a project directory if you're directing. Yep, so this is a function that looks like it. How would people use this? You would create a temporary directory, create the soils project in that given spot. And yeah, this is written with tempdir. This is like a demonstration. So create soils here is like this overall template creator, like sort of creating an R package. Okay, good. So nice. Defensive programming here saying if this is missing, then you can do CLI abort. So again, this is actually, there's a couple of things I would suggest you could make some changes here. So you don't need to write code backticks there. You can use the rich markup system in CLI. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a branch of this. So rather than, it's already copied to my repo, but I want this to be I want to have a separate branch so that I can make changes and it won't impact things. I can't precisely remember why it's good etiquette to make it a separate branch. I think it just makes some of the, if I make a pull request, it's not going from main to main, it'll go from NJT suggestions to main. Yeah. So some suggestions here. With CLI, you don't have to do backticks and control that sort of thing. You can do, so CLI, so this is the CLI package, which helps manage like error messages and other output out to the console. There is, let's see if I can find it now. It's not here. I think it's in reference here. There's an article in CLI that discusses the various features and how to use all these different markup parts of it. Okay, I can't seem to find it, so it's a bit of a shame. What's happening in the chat? Oh yeah, Girk style is good. Okay, so I can't find this thing, but basically I've got a few dependencies to go, and that's alright. What this means is you write, instead of that, you write code here. Now again, like that is actually more code to write. I'm a bit frustrated I can't find that reference. I'm getting really hung up on that, but that's okay. I just swear that there used to be an article that sort of showed all of the user template stuff. I can tell I'm getting really hung up on this, so I'm just going to leave it going, but it's a bit frustrating. Oh, okay. Adding, warning. I'm just going to take that to mean that everything's installed. Okay, so we did the good practice thing. Let's run that again and see if maybe there was some error before with the code or something. Wait for that to happen. Okay, while that's sort of ticking along there, let's talk about these error messages, and let's also just quickly go back to the chat. Mixing approaches, base normalized path. Okay, so Miles made a point about, yeah, sort of sticking to one style. Okay, cool. All right, we've got more good practice checks here. So there's comments about, okay, so there's currently no tests. That's fine. Tests are hard to write. I'm happy to write something for you to help demo that. Code lines, UTF 8 strings. I actually don't quite know how to solve that off the top of my head. And big installation size, which I was commenting on before. I don't think these are deal breakers. The test thing we can come back to. I'm probably just going to have a read through of the code to get a general sense of what this package is doing. So I guess that's another thing to think about. In the README here, you have these video demos. Cool. It looks like you've added assets somehow here. I actually don't know what how to do that. So cool. It's probably something really awesome. So I was worried that was linked directly from the package, and those things might be a bit big. So that's good. I guess so. The vignette shows me how to do this stuff, like in terms of point and click. But what I want to know is like, is there code stuff here? Let's look at get started because I want to get started. Okay, great. Looks like the install packages comment here about using the R universe. So if you haven't seen this before, this is really nice. So R universe is a project by ROpenSci. And it's basically sort of like an alternative to CRAN. It means it pushes, it builds your package, and it builds the binary, so it's quickly installable. So if you want to install and you don't have to worry about like installing from GitHub, you can install from the R universe, and it should be really quick. So again, that sort of shows me that they care a lot about the user, which is important. Okay, great. So Miles is having some good comments about normalizing paths and other comments about that, which is definitely like a good point. So what I'm trying to get out of this here in this get started section is that I want to understand like the code that does this, and if it's all point and click or if there's like code that you run. Get started is, okay, so there is the soils create soils function. Great little tree there to show the project directory. That takes time. Okay, again, strong effort to make this easily usable by people. Good. Now, onto the R code again. So create soils, defensive programming to catch this path. I think, so you had here in Codex, I think there's actually something that's like dir or something like that, or path even. I really want to find this message about how to inline markup. That's the thing I want. Okay, so inline markup. So this is the thing that contains all of the different classes. So here, we don't want to put code, directory, file for a file name, path for a path. So this will just make it show up slightly clearer. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to do keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-L to load the package. Cool, using ternary plots. That's interesting. That sort of come back to that. Let's see what happens if I write create soils and I just don't do anything here, so I don't provide a path or whatever. So it says path is missing. Where do I want to create this project? Cool. I think one comment I would add here is you could say something like I equals, for example, and then I would put in a path here. So you'd say dot path to my directory. So now if I load that again and then we run this interactively, cool. I'll add to that and I'll actually write code and I'll say create soils use single commas. For example, red soils. Cool. So I think what's nice about this is that now we don't have to worry about putting backticks and stuff here. So now let's see how we go. I'm getting a lot of pings. Great point. Yeah. So just reading through the chat here. Package is large because the example docx and HTML reports. Testing. Not sure how to test with a project template based package. I agree. You can probably do some snapshot tests of your errors. So I'll get back to that. Adam's point, size is a big issue if you don't plan to put on cran. Totally, absolutely correct. So yeah, that really does only matter if you do want to put on cran. Cool, great. And I just had a bunch of notifications come through on Mastodon, so we'll see what happens. Look at that here. Anything I need to catch up on? I think we're good. Anyway, so now if we quickly interactively look at this again, create soils. So for example, and then it writes some code there. Yeah. So I'll come back to that. So that's like this interactive process of you tweak something, you load the package with load all, and then you play around in the console. Okay, so normalize path. I actually don't know what normalizing a path does. It's probably something to do with, no, what does it do? Canonical form for the platform, sure, okay, gotcha. So that's to do with how like absolute paths and other things are sort of handled. Let's see if we click run examples. Right, so it'll do like a platform dependent normalizing thing. Miles's comment was that there's like an path norm, so I think that should be the equivalent. Let's look at the examples. Okay, so normalizing the path here would be, yeah, okay, so you take in some hectic path and then it'll normalize it to do something. I was going to overwrite this, but I actually don't fully understand how to use this, so I'm just going to let that be there for a minute. Okay, great. So now we've got another. So this is all controlling if the directory already exists. It's not is true. I think there's actually an is false now. Yeah, this is false. So you could use, instead of not is true, you could use is false. And yeah, the use of that I think is really nice. So is true is good because it'll. So typically, like you might say if overwrite like that, and then that's sort of like telling us that this is probably a Boolean type thing. But because this is user input, they can control override here. I think it's good practice to do that, I think. Yeah. So again, I would do path already exists. So if you're using this inline markup of say dot path and you want path to be rendered, then you can put it in another pair of curlies. Already exists. Cool, great. So good to give instructions on what to do. I'm just going to write code here. And yep. I would put in your path here. And I'd say to always overwrite, and then you can add 2 backslashes to create a new line without it changing around. Okay, so if this abort else overriding existing project, cool, you got the cat red bullet. Did you define that? Cool, nice. I like that a lot. It's good use of, it tells me what that is. Okay, else. Okay, I think this could benefit from what Jadey Ryan has in her code spells talk called like the happy path. So prioritize the happy path here. So we're failing early, which I think is good. But I'm just like getting a little bit lost, or not lost. It's just like if else statements can sometimes just like they're a bit nested. So if I'm gonna write is false here. If is false, path already exists. Sure, if the path exists, you didn't write like if is true. So I think you can probably get away from this if is false part here, because this else is sort of captured here. So I think what you could do is you could wrap this up if like if the dir exists. I would say something like if the dir exists and we want to override, then I would create like a separate condition, and then I'd write some more if comments here. So to give you a sense of what I would do, I'm just going to check back to the chat just to see if there's anything I want to comment on. Okay, there's comments there about Studio API calls, so I'll get back to what I'm doing here. So what I'll do is I'll do an explaining variable. So I'd say, so dir exists is this, and I would say overriding takes on is true, override, and then I'd say dir exists, and then you could do something like if dir exists and overriding, then do this, and then I would say if dir and not overriding, I would say if dir exists and overriding, then do this. So then we say, okay, it exists, but we're overriding anyway. So good that you want to inform the user of that overriding existing project. If it's available and is true, open. What's open? Create. Okay, cool. Yeah. Good. And then else. Yeah, okay, so I guess the point I want to make here is like emphasizing these individual steps. So like if let's say dir doesn't exist, then we can do this. So I guess the point of this is to more clearly articulate like this is for this case, this is for this case, this is for this case. The benefit of this is that then I don't have to like get caught in sort of these loopy parts of this code in terms of understanding, well, if this is not true, I can just sort of look at each statement sort of separately. And yeah, you will need a styleless project. I don't think I have Gherk style installed, which is what you're using, which is great, but just a comment on that I would normally style this code now. Okay, so you do that, and then you do a nice green tick saying create a project directory, cool. And then you're returning an invisible thing, so you're setting the template, copy the directory over. Okay. The other final thing I would say is that you could consider wrapping these up into functions themselves. So that would look like something like stop if dir exists and overriding. And then I'll write dir exists overriding here, and then that would contain all of this code here. And then that way you'd have like 3 functions that would capture the intent of these things here. The benefit to this is that you then have just like 3 lines of code. I'm not a big believer in reducing lines of code. What I'm a believer in is writing functions to express yourself. So if you write a function, then it could express that same intent, which makes it easier to sort of browse through the code and hopefully maintain it later. I wrote a blog post which covered some of my like thoughts and things on that, which is called error handling Eclipse here. So maybe check that out if you like. Cool. Anything else? Okay, cool. Great. Thanks for the comments in the chat, everyone here. We've got 20 minutes left, so I sort of want to take about another 15 minutes to look through this. Okay, so we're running the soil sys function. What does soil sys do? Okay, that's okay. Good that you've provided a reference to this. Is from Golem, some Golem code from a specific commit. Really like that actually, because that means that this is like fixed, this blob here. So like, well done, like that a lot. I don't know what this does. That's okay, but just going through understanding these bits. Okay, create soils GUI, create a project directory for soil health reports using a Cordo template for use on the Enhanced Studio. Yep. So where's this used? Oh, it's just used in there, so that's fine. Okay. Okay, so one file in. Okay, then we got some example data. Cool. Minor gripe. You're using underscores in other places, but then example data is camel case. I would think about it as example underscore data, or call it something else that tells me a bit more about what it is. So it's a subset of Washington Soil Health Initiative. Anonymized data presents each sample in its own row. So year, sample ID, farm name, longitude, texture. Again, I would consider using snake case, so with an underscore. However, like perhaps this is a very standard data set, and this sort of camel case thing is sort of like a norm in your community, in which case, go ahead. Just a thought. I would give this a name though. I would call it something like Washi or Washi example or something like that. Example data doesn't tell me much about what it is and what it contains. And I know that you've got a help file here, but I guess some more information around what this is. I'll also consider throwing in an example here of the data and like what it contains. So like I can view example data. Okay, we got fields, countries, textures. Yeah, I would consider throwing in like a data viz here just to sort of maybe show some of the things that you care about. Again, we got underscores and dots. Again, like if this is a norm in how this data is stored, like completely ignore this advice of changing this. But I think having some plots to just to show the user, like how would you look at this? Okay, percentages in there. It's fine. It just creates problems when you want to do. So if we were to load I'm going to create an untitled tab because I'm chaotic like that, I guess. This is fun. Sure, so when I was installing those packages, I needed to unload things, so I'm just going to restart my R session, and then hopefully this should work. And I'm going to load everything. Okay, cool. So I guess example data, I guess I'll put on the x-axis here, and I would consider let's just pick like two random things. I think in sync. Oh well, anyway. My point is, in the data file here, I'd consider putting in an example here of like how to visualize this, just to give you a general sense. Cool, a data dictionary, that's really nice. So this tells me about what is in here and what all the columns of the data mean. Again, that's really useful. Column name, measurement full name, order, abbreviation, unit, abbreviated unit. Cool, I don't know what order means, of how measurements are presented within. Okay, sure, that's good, great. And USDA texture, textural classes. Cool, so again, comments are maybe take a look at underscores and things like that and normalizing these names of these packages. One way that you can do that is with the janitor package. So if we take your example data, look at the names of this, it looks like that. And then if we take your example data, and then if I use janitor clean names, let me look at the names of that again, then these get changed into full names with like percent and stuff like that. That's how I would change those names in a quick way. And to change the names, you could do something like, well, actually you would just do clean names, and then you would change that in your data raw file here where you've got your example data. Great that you've got the data read in here, so it's possible to reproduce this again. And also how you've done other steps here. These are all like really good signals to me that you care about this. This isn't like from some random place. This is at least from somewhere as a good starting point. Cool. All right. Globals, what's in here? Okay, global variables. This is a way to avoid a cran check. I usually put these in something like I call it use package doc, and this creates a package here. And then in my globals, I would shove this in here, and I'd get rid of the globals part there. But you didn't have to do that. But I do think having some sort of soils package main thing here, and then you write some documentation about that. So where I often go to is I look at, say, the dplyr package. This is just like a good standard, I guess. package doc, what do they call it? Dplyr. Oh, this could be a bit of a hectic thing to search. Dplyr, here we go. Cool, so this is like a description, some like generic information about the package here. Yeah, another example just to use my own, in the Narnia package. Here, so I have like it's a package to do these things, and like here's like a reference. See also, and then there's some other bits and pieces here like re-exports and stuff. When I have global variables, I've always included this bit of code here. I don't know if I need to do that, but that is just something that I've always done. Yeah, so again, that's maybe not super helpful. Soil indicators and advise the camel case. I see. Is he using it to pivot wider longer in the data wrangling? Yeah. Naming things is hard. Put units in brackets so you can regex them out. Yeah, units are hard. Naming things is hard. Yeah, I can understand why that is the case. Yeah, that's very much understandable. Cool. Great. Got 10 minutes left. Soils package. That's the thing I added. I think having globals there is fine. I actually kind of like it there. Okay, helpers. Calculate the mode of categorical, yes. R does not include a mode function, so this is a thing. Good. Sure, great. Okay, you're using the base pipe, so I'll just check one thing. In your description, you actually need to have R greater than 4.1, because that is what you need for the base pipe. So if someone has before that version, then none of your code that uses the pipe will work, like the base pipe here. If you're wondering how I get this fancy triangle, that's due to the font that I'm using, which is appearance Fira code. It just does these fancy ligatures somehow automatically. Like a ligature is this thing, so why my arrow looks sleek and fancy. Anyway, wrangle data from the table, plot functions, sure. Get in texture by var. Cool. Yep. This is all going to be a super quick review now because we've only got a couple more minutes left. Cool. So helpers, maps. Okay, yeah, adding some HTML code. Leaflet stuff. Cool. I'll take a look at the code and the graphics later, so I'll just be interested in that. It's actually another thing that I was interested in for registered SVN if it's overridden by GT turn. I think to me that indicates something's going on. I'm not sure what. if you don't write ggplot2, you can up here. So like I do this in all my code still, but if you want, you could do, and this is where I would do this in the soils package bit here. You can do import ggplot2, and that imports all of the ggplot2 functions into like the namespace of your package, kind of like running library. That will just save you from needing to do all of the ggplot namespacing, which is what we call this part here when you do the package and column, and then function. Yeah, another thing I really like here, consistent styling. It just like makes this code like easier to read. I don't have to, like, I can just turn off parts of my brain and focus on various things here. I don't think I have time to confidently go through the rest of this and dig in too deep in terms of looking at the plotting code. What I'm going to do is just have a general browse of quickly. It looks like you're making tables. These are all things that are going in the reports and utility functions. Yeah, again, so maybe system file and stuff could be stuff with FS. Cool. Now what I want to take a look at is I want to try, well, first I'm going to build this. I think this package has been built. I want to create a new soil package. And so I'm going to follow new directory. Okay, don't have that yet, so maybe I need to build the package first. Let's go back to the chat. Miles, I'd like to hear Dr. Nick's opinion on. Oh yeah, it's a good point, Adam, about the mode. I think for the most, yeah, it's like what to do when you handle ties, I believe, or something like that. Okay, Adam, I don't know if your links are showing up in the chat. I think this is like a feature of YouTube chat. It like doesn't let you put links in, like quote unquote feature. Maybe we put these in a separate document and stuff, so maybe just hang on to those links. I could even put a link in my own like chat description, so that's a bit frustrating. Plots.r line 22. I might also look at that. Suppress warnings. Yeah, okay. I guess I don't know why you're suppressing the warnings. I'd hazard a guess it's something to do with yeah, what happens if we just get rid of that? I would add a comment here to say like close suppress warnings. Okay, let's load this package. We've got 4 minutes left. So I don't get any warnings when I do it, so I'm not sure what the warning is doing. For those who haven't seen a ternary plot before, they're like kind of rare and they're awesome. I think it's like a way of having a third axis. So this is like the percent of silt and sand and clay. Yeah, they I think are like useful for very specific things. They're not super common. But yeah, that looks really slick. I will say this. Just gonna leave that warnings bit of code in there. Let's see if I can create an RStudio project. Soil health report. Great. Example. Let's just call this my soils. Create a new session. I'm going to do that. Quickly come back to the chat. I think while still at catching and rethrowing errors, yes, you can do that. You wanted to know, so let's, in the final minutes, package structure, how to incorporate better error messages in testing. So I've got an idea for some like a test that you could run. So let's quickly create some use test that. And then I'm going to say use test. I'm going to call this test, what was the first function? Create soils. I like to use dashes to separate my files because they're easier to mouse across when I hold down Alt, and you can see my cursor jumping around there. If you use underscore, it jumps to the end. So I like dashes. So use test creates a test template here. We're going to test the create soils function. I'm going to say create soils returns appropriate error. And I'm going to say expect error expect snapshot error. And then I'm going to say create soils just with nothing. And then I'm going to run this code here. And then this creates a new snapshot, so I'll run it again. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's just a thing that GT10 is doing. Anyway, we can come back to that. Let's look at these tests. So this has created a snapshot test, which is really cool. So this is the test error, which is really nice. It just captures this, and then if we make any other changes, so to demonstrate, I'll quickly show you, create soils. To get to that menu there, I was doing control and full stop or period. That brings up a file or function, so it's handy because then I can, I don't know, do something like go to a specific function, or I can go to a file or a function. Okay, so let's just change this. We say path is missing. Where do you? I'd say instead of is missing, I'd say path must be provided. This just tells the user like you must provide the path, not like it's missing. Like you need to do this thing. So let's just say I make that change there, and then I'm going to run my test again. And it's going to come up and it's going to say, but this is changed, and we can go snapshot review, and I like to pop this out into a new window, and it says path is missing, path must be provided. That's what I want, so I click accept. This is really useful, but sometimes other things in your code change, or like other dependencies introduce other errors, and it's just a great way to snapshot those errors and also output of things as well. We are pretty much at time, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to push these changes up. So I'm going to say like use tests. So I like to finish the sentence. Actually, before I do this commit, I'm just going to quickly read the error messages. See, Adam, thanks so much. Talk to you later. Probably he is gone, but all the same, thanks so much, Adam. Hopefully next time we can all be talking and I'll work that part out. Okay, so commit message, use tests, use test that. So I like to finish the sentence, this commit will use tests and snapshot testing. What else did this do? Snapshots, use test and snapshot testing, depend test snapshots, base pipe on R4.1.0 since base pipe is used. That's first commit. Second commit is so this commit will Oh yeah, cool. So unnest if else to unravel, I guess I would say, calls into separate if else calls with explaining variables. So an explaining variable is this thing here, like dir exists and overriding. And we also say this CLI inline markup and if else unnesting. Good and unravel that, and then oh yeah, use inline CLI markup. Cool. And then use package. I think it was package docs. Yep, use package doc. Cool. Alright, so I'll push those changes up. And then I will go here. And I'm gonna compare this pull request. Some suggestions from live code review. Thank you again for volunteering a package for review. Well done on a strong user-focused package. Cool. All right. I think I'll stop the stream pretty much there. I'm really glad this has been useful. I got the line "this commit will" from Adam Brewer. He referenced another blog post, but it's nice. It's a nice way to help me remember. And I got the idea of you writing the header and the dot points from Miles, actually. So just attributing credit there, not my ideas. Yeah. So I think I might wrap up there. Adam posted the mode calculation thing. Great. I want to say thanks so much, everyone. That was really great. I might just pause here if there's any other final bits of comment or other things you want to ask in the chat. I know that there's a bit of a delay, so I'll just wait for that to come through. But yeah, I want to hear from you if you're watching this later on. What do you think? What can I do better? What would you like to see? Yeah, thanks so much. Oh, hi, Shi Ching Fu, sorry. Nice to see you there. Yeah, we've got a few people. Jadey, it's my pleasure. I've gotten a lot from the R community. It feels great to get back. And yeah, I'm happy that you're happy. So I consider this overall a great old big win. And on that note, I will wrap up. Have an awesome day. And yeah, thanks so much.